All right, I want to talk about certain good sites that we have in philosophy, which are very useful for anyone who is entering philosophy, anyone who is very deeply into the subject, and anyone who is just interested in the subject. So, one of them, as you can see on the screen, is Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and you just type Stanford Encyclopedia or just Stanford Philosophy, some kind of search item like that, and you get Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. And you click on this, and we will just see, we'll get it to Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. We're just waiting for it to come. Um, right, so here we are, and Stanford Encyclopedia is great for almost any kind of philosophy. So if you're interested in Chinese philosophy, it will throw up all kinds of articles in that. And then if you're interested in very latest happenings in philosophy, let us say in causation or in know-how or in laws of nature or in some particular corner of philosophy which has escaped your attention so far, you will find something very good in Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy on that particular subject. So you can see what's new is a button here, and you can press that and you get what's new, or rather what are the articles that are being published right now or what have been revised by people who had submitted articles before this on particular topics. So you can see there's a new topic. It's Infinity by Graham Oppy, Alan Hayek, Kenny Ishwaradan, and Paolo Mancosu, and that's a new article. And so all these articles are basically on various subjects in philosophy. Sometimes it's on a philosopher like Imre Lakatos, for instance. Is a philosopher, and you can have Friedrich Schiller, that's a philosopher. You have articles on Descartes' mathematics. So whatever interests you, whether it's Indian, Chinese, Latin American philosophy, all kinds of articles are in this particular encyclopedia. And this is a great way in which you can get into the subject. The articles are not necessarily meant for beginners, but they are meant for someone who has at least a little bit of acquaintance with the subject, maybe a first year undergraduate has a certain amount of acquaintance with the subject, and they can start reading Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Most of the articles are written in such a manner that even a person who does not have much acquaintance can understand the subject or understand the article. Let us then look at one or two of these articles. So we have the new article, Infinity. So let's take a look at it, how it looks when the page comes up. Right, so here it is. So as you can see, it says first published Thursday, April 29, 2021. So it's like the very latest of articles. Today is 6th of May, and we have an article which is from April 29. And this is completely free, by the way. So anyone from anywhere who has an internet connection can look at it. So often philosophy is a subject which is found to be very esoteric, and the books are very costly, and the articles are very difficult to find because they're on JSTOR or some kind of paid service. And so that's not the case with Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. It's completely free for anyone who wishes to read it. So we can have this article on infinity, and so you can see we have subdivisions: infinity in philosophy, infinity in mathematics, and the article goes on to discuss how the subject has played out in history and in modern times. And you can see that there is a bibliography right at the end of it. Let us take a look at that. Every article in Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy has a bibliography in it. And also these articles are very extensive. They cover not only the past research, but the very recent research. So if this article is published April 29, 2021, then the research covered in it would be as recent as something like April 2021. So if you want to catch up with research in philosophy, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy is a wonderful way of catching up with research. So let's try to get to the bibliography. Here it is, and the bibliography is of course excellent in Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy because it covers not just the historical literature, but also all kinds of other literature, and it basically brings you up to date with whatever is happening on the particular subject. This is the subject of infinity, and so you can see it's a pretty large bibliography, a huge one indeed. You can well occupy yourself for a very long time reading all this stuff. Right, so that's Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. If you want to look up something, let us say in Chinese philosophy, or in Indian philosophy, or in Western philosophy, or anywhere, let's try Indian philosophy. So I just typed in Indian philosophy and let's see what comes up. So we have logic in classical Indian philosophy, epistemology in classical Indian philosophy, mind in Indian Buddhist philosophy, language and testimony in classical Indian philosophy, the concept of emotion in classical Indian philosophy, and so on and so forth. So all these topics are there in Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and I'm not saying that all these topics are exhaustive of Indian philosophy, but at least it gives you a head start on the subject, and it basically tells you what's going on and what are the basic theories regarding Indian philosophy. And it's not going to get you very deep into the subject, but it will definitely get you a head start into the subject. So that's Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. There is another encyclopedia of philosophy by the name of Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. So we can take a look at that. So here's Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and here it is. This also basically contains articles on various subjects, again from very different backgrounds in philosophy, and it is pretty much as extensive as Stanford Encyclopedia, and it's well, there are photographs in this which you won't find in Stanford Encyclopedia. So you can put in a search article, search here on some kind of. So maybe let's try safety. Safety is a term in epistemology, and so let's try that and let's see what comes up. So we have the safety condition for knowledge, epistemic luck, reliabilism. All these are very heavily research subjects in epistemology, and so we have the KK principle, and then we have surveillance ethics. Then there is a whole article on knowledge, and so on and so forth. So you have these two very helpful sites in philosophy: the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy and the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Anytime you have any doubt about any particular matter, check both Stanford and in the Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and you will get some lead. These are not necessarily articles for beginners, but they are pretty much understandable by anyone who has even a very slight acquaintance with the subject. And your curiosity will be aroused by using Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy and Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. You can also take a look at Phil Papers. This is an online site for research in philosophy. So if you want to know what's being published in a particular area, this is an excellent place to find out about the latest publications and the latest books and the latest articles in journals regarding any particular subject. So you can take a look at this. So that's Phil Papers for you. This is Phil People. So you have Phil Papers, then you have Phil People, then Phil Archive, Phil Events, Phil Jobs. So you have Phil People. Phil People is about if you're a philosopher or you're a recent PhD or a grad student, you can just create your own profile here. So we can type something, some kind of say, let us say know-how, and let us see what comes up regarding the articles that are being published right now in the subject of know-how. It will give the very latest that is there, and also if you have a account in Phil Papers, you can upload your own papers that are being published around the world. So here are all the articles on know-how, and as if you go down, you will find out that the number of articles on know-how are quite large. So you can see 1 to 50 of 1,000. So there's something like 1,000 articles, and Phil Papers will give you a full breakdown of all those articles. In many cases, the articles are actually available on Phil Papers. So if you want a particular article, it might turn out that the paper is available on Phil Papers, especially in Phil Archive. So it's not always the original published article in the journal, but sometimes it's also the Word copy or a PDF copy of the journal uploaded by the author. It's extremely useful for research. It's probably the best site for doing research in philosophy. So I've told you about three very useful sites in philosophy. One is Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, one is Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and one is philpapers.org. So, or is it philpapers? Yes, it is philpapers.org. So those are the three sites, and anyone who wants to get into philosophy and know a little bit about it and know what research is going on in it, who is curious about the subject, should definitely check out all these sites.